There's that movie title right now, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Well, essentially, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about customer experience, employee experience, and everything all together, all at once.
Experience action. Let's stop just talking about customer experience, employee experience, and the experience of leaders. Let's turn ideas into action. Your host, Jeannie Walters, is an award-winning customer experience expert, international keynote speaker, and founder of Experience Investigators, a strategic consulting firm helping companies increase sales and customer retention through elevated customer experiences. Ready, set, action.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey everyone, it's Jeannie Walters. I'm so glad you're here with us at the Experience Action podcast. Now, as you know, I love to hear your questions and address them in the best way I know how. So if you haven't yet asked me a question, but you're listening to this podcast right now, I'm going to challenge you to leave me a voicemail before you listen to another episode. You can do that at speakpipe.com/experienceaction. It's super easy to do, and I want to hear from you. Now, today we have another great question from a listener, so let's go ahead and jump in.
Hi, Jeannie. This is Audrey. I'm really enjoying your podcast. My question for you is it possible for a company to work on both customer experience and employee experience at the same time?
Oh, I love this question because you know what? I really believe that you cannot authentically deliver a great customer experience without aligning that experience with your employee experience. So in some ways, the answer is, how can you not focus on both? How can you not put in effort on both the employee experience and the customer experience? But sometimes that's harder to do than we give it credit for. For example, maybe you don't feel like you're in charge of the employee experience. Maybe you have to go talk to Henry in HR and say, Henry, we've got to work on this together. Sometimes that's not as easy as it sounds. Sometimes human resource teams and departments and leaders are focused on process and procedure and operations. And sometimes they don't really see their role as part of developing and nurturing and really cultivating the right kind of employee experience. But this is where customer experience best practices can really come in handy. Because if you're looking at customer experience with that focus on, the mission, making sure that you've got that mission right, making sure you understand what success is, and then filtering that down into an incredible customer journey, you can use those same best practices to create an amazing employee experience.
Yeah!
And I'll give you an example. I was working with a team and we were focused on actually employee journey mapping. This is something we do because we can use the same principles, the same best practices, and apply it to the employee journey, not just the customer journey. And as we were working with this team, one of them said, I don't know if I would refer anybody to work here. It doesn't feel right anymore. We don't feel like we're really delivering on the mission anymore. It doesn't feel like our bosses care about us anymore.
Oh, no.
And I thought about that and I thought, what would the leaders say? In today's market, when we are dealing with huge retention issues, with finding the right talent, with not having enough people in the marketplace, all of those challenges that we have, what would they say if they knew that they had this bounty in front of them where if we have employees who refer other employees, we actually end up hiring those referrals more often than not. There is data that shows that if you refer employees from happy employees, you will get faster hiring speeds. You will also have employees who stay with you longer. So it's a win-win-win. So knowing that, what we did was part of the story that we told to the executives was, hey, listen, one of the things that you say is that you want to deliver a meaningful customer experience to your customers. You want them to feel valued along every step of the journey. Those are wonderful aspirations. And I think there's a lot of work going into making sure we can do that. But we cannot do that without employees who also feel valued at every step of their journey. because otherwise we're not walking the talk. So you absolutely have to focus on customer experience and employee experience. Sometimes to do this, we need to create a culture of collaboration. And again, we can use the best practices from customer experience here. Instead of having a customer advisory board, maybe we need to create an employee advisory board. If we're not using the customer experience mission statement in our job postings, then we might not be attracting the right people into the organization. If we're not looking at the employee journey and understanding where are the pitfalls, where are the things that we can address, what are the things we can do to empower employees so that they feel aligned with our mission, so that they know their work is meaningful. If we can't create that alignment, then there's no way to really deliver on the customer experience that we promise. So if you're a customer experience leader, or if you're some sort of employee leader, if you're a manager of a team, or if you're working in human resources right now, or if you're working in learning and development for your organization, my challenge to you is to look across your organization and ask, who can you start collaborating with to create better employee experiences that drive better customer experiences? Because if you can do that, if you can collaborate with the right teams and the right leaders, that's where magic can really happen. Now, the other challenge I'm going to ask you to really think about is, how do you define success? Because sometimes we use things like annual employee surveys and we say, well, if we can get those numbers up, that's successful. But just like in customer experience data, we want to look at both the experiential feedback data, what people are telling us, as well as operational data, how are they behaving? And so if you find that your survey numbers are going up, but you're not retaining employees much longer, you're not decreasing the number of days between when somebody submits an application to when they're hired, if you're not actually finding that the operational metrics that you need to explore around employee experience, if those aren't moving, then there's still something wrong. Because sometimes in employee feedback, we have to be careful with how and who is asking for it. If their boss is asking for a survey that they turn into their boss, you're not going to get accurate information. If there's a rumor or a myth, this happens a lot. If there is a myth that is in the organization that, you know what, those anonymous quote unquote surveys that we fill out, well, yeah, your manager sees them. If that is going around as an urban legend in your organization, then you're not going to get accurate feedback from employees. So we really want to be careful about how we're asking for it, set up a feedback strategy that reflects the very best practices, and align it with your customer experience outcomes, your goals, and especially your mission statement. Because that's where people will realize, you know what, the work I do is meaningful. I'm delivering for customers. And this organization, my leaders, care about me as a person, as an employee. And that's what's going to make somebody stay. That's what's going to make somebody care about the work they're doing. And isn't that what we're all here for? So thank you so much. This is an excellent question. I'm also curious, what are you doing in your own organizations? How are you focusing on employee experience and customer experience? How are you aligning those missions and making sure that every single person in your organization feels like they are doing meaningful work on behalf of the organization and, maybe most importantly, on behalf of your customers? Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to hear your questions next week. And feel free to leave that voicemail to let me know your story. Let me know your biggest challenge. Even if you don't have a specific question, let's talk about it here. That's why we're here. We want to turn words into action. So until we meet again, have a great week, and thanks for all you do for your customers. To learn more about our strategic approach to experience, check out free resources at experienceinvestigators.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter, our Year of CX program, and more. And please follow me, Jeannie Walters, on LinkedIn.